Welcome back to the European Challenger Series. We're just about set up for Game 2 between Mousesports and Inspire eSports. What a first game from Inspire though. Coming out of the gate extremely strong. Mid lane did extremely well with question marks around CosQ. Was quite quiet last split, didn't really do a whole lot. This time comes in with Corki and just starts murdering everybody. The team just looked very strong as well in terms of just their like macro game, and they just kind of won with a triple AD carry composition that Banditos ran and then failed with.
And I like the supplement they made to the triple AD style. They had two ADs with a lot of ability to escape, plus disengage. You had Gragas with his ultimate. Trundle does provide disengage as well. You look at the pillar, denies people the ability to engage. Even against like the setup of like Kalista, Alistar, Malphite. It's like, oh, what beats poke? Hard engage. Well, we'll try and disengage against you. And it worked. It worked very well for Inspire. So impressed by how they played the first game. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect. So I'm now looking towards maybe a game 2 where maybe there's not so much banned in the top lane. Look at what top lane matchups we end up with. Because last game there was like Tahm Kench, Lissandra,
Shen.
Lulu, Shen, Gangplank, all banned away. Still like Poppy available, Fiora available, these carries. Neither team opted for them. I mean, I don't really think you'd probably want to play them into like a Malphite so much. But
would you want to pick a Fiora in a poke composition? You could go 1-4.
Gragas. Yeah, that's true. Also, the poke composition makes it difficult. So, you know, it's interesting now. Will we see the same bans is my question. I hope we'll see a little bit different. Depends what they think was particularly strong. Wendelbo's pillars are pretty good. That's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, just in general, they played extremely well. We're going to take a look at one of the replays from that last game. It was the mid lane siege that came in, and Dan was looking for the flank. It was the one where he had the funky Dragon's Rage.
Yeah, the one where he ends up aiding CosQ as he pushes him back. In this one, I think this was a 1-for-1 trade overall, if I remember rightly. But yeah, because Rux dies here. This is just an example again of how IE can just always be moving backwards, always be looking backwards, and just kind of deny MOUs a solid engage. They may get 1 or 2 people, the 3-person one that we saw, and from here they just have enough health and damage to siege effectively. Although at this point it wasn't so great. That one was one of those ones where they were still trying to finish off the turret, but the problem on that one was not enough wave clear coming from the Victor. Frost Queen's claim before you even get level 1 augment for your E.
So basically just lost the turret.
Yeah. I want to go on this. What this has made me do is want to go and like watch every Victor game from recently on 6.1 to see whether that is like a common thing or whether it isn't, because I don't feel like that should be common, but there are so many games right now in like LPL and LCK that I'm like, I'm going to go watch them all.
Yes.
Well, just for Victor.
But it's important though, because you take a look at that, and just that one augment, there was a ripple effect. So in the mid lane, you saw that Victor, because he wasn't able to clear the minion wave, they lost a tower, which meant that they had the following play that you saw earlier, where they went for the mid lane turret instead of going for the bot lane, and then an inhib got lost. So by extent, not upgrading, lost a not quite there, but you can see where the ripple effect happened because the options were available for both teams. Yeah,
that is true. I think we're going to take another look at one engage as well. This was the one that Mouse kind of came out better off for. I'm not going to say they came out well from. Good catch onto Warlight while he was in his ultimate frames there. Warlight gets caught out. Mouse didn't really get too much from that though. They didn't really get a Baron. They didn't get multiple turrets. They just got a little bit of gold and some map presence, which when you're that far behind is nice, but it's not enough to hold you in the game, unfortunately.
I think you just nailed it. When you're that far behind, you can make exceptional plays like that, but it's too late. We saw that also in like the Unicorns of Love series, where they fell behind and they were just like, well, let's go for an engage now and put all eggs in killing Nils, and oh, we lost. So you get situations like that where you're just too late, and I didn't find problems with Mouse's composition or their draft. It was fine. Hard engage into poke, it's whatever, man. But if you don't go for that engage earlier and utilize your composition, then you have a problem.
Change up in bans.
Yeah, not going to let Wonderboy have that Trundle. It was very annoying even early into the game. They were getting chunk damage onto like Alistar, they were getting chunk onto like small poke and skirmish engages, so going to take away the Trundles to start off the banning phase. Gangplank as well, always pretty much banned on the red side, and Lissandra as the following ban.
Lissandra is a blue side ban as well. Is an interesting one. Lissandra's strength is that you can just pick her and then flex. I guess they don't want it passed over to red side at this point, and then they take it first rotation and can still counterpick whichever solo lane they have. So it's not that surprising, but certainly is one of those picks that you may expect to see first picked on the blue side.
Yeah.
Not 100%. That's more the likes of like a Tam Kench if available, and Inspire, no, get that out of there. We don't want to deal with that. Which leaves us in a situation where Lulu was banned in the last game, so was Rek'Sai. I don't think Inspire have the bandwidth in this situation to actually ban Rek'Sai. I'd be very surprised if they banned Rek'Sai over Lulu. Lulu being available for MOUs would almost certainly be a first pick.
And therefore Lulu will be banned out. So I really don't think like Dan's jungle Rek'Sai is that big of an issue for Inspire, unless he's only been playing that for the last 6 months since the last time we saw him.
Shen is the ban that was banned out by Inspire in the last game. Corki was not banned, as we saw it played by Inspire. And that is a first pick Shen. It still can be a flex at this situation. I'm trying to rationalize with myself whether I like that or dislike that, or whether I'm indifferent. Right at the moment, I'm kind of like indifferent on dislike, but still think it's okay. Like,
so if like a 1 was dislike and a 10 was like, you're like a 4 right now.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle. Okay. And the reason for that is I just feel like there are stronger picks, and 2 of them have just kind of been picked up.
Yeah.
With Corki off the table, 80 carries that are fairly consistent at this point. Kalista is going to be one of those. We just saw how good Woolite had in that game. And now the Alistar has gone over, so Rux doesn't get his Alistar. Kindred is not allowed, is still banned as it's 6.1.
Bannerinoed.
So yeah, they are out of here.
Yeah, in Rift Jail. But maybe these teams know something we don't, because the Shen was banned out last time. So the fact that they put priority on it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it screams to me the kind of champion that Binsu wants to play as well.
Yeah.
It's like a champion that is very solid in a 1v1 lane setup, that you can then have the split push potential and the ability to join in fights. I don't think there's anything that I inherently dislike. I just don't know how I feel about it being first pick.
Yeah.
It does deny it from Sartorius as well, so that is something to be said for that. But this is another weird one to be blind picked. Syndra blind pick into mid lane.
Not even Power of Evil does that. He will like last pick that stuff on
like,
red side.
So I think Bjergsen blind picked Syndra in NALCS, if I'm not mistaken. He's played 2 games, I think it is, in NALCS of Syndra. Syndra is not the most well-rounded champion in the game. I mean, fairly low mobility when it comes to a mid lane role, has good catch, good damage, but doesn't move around the lane particularly well.
Nope.
So maybe something you could see come out like a Zed that can pressure it, because hitting that stun on Zed as he comes in with a deathmark is difficult. You've got to wait for the orb to spawn.
Yeah. I also wonder what she's like in 6-1 with everyone going Swifties nowadays.
Yeah.
If the extra mobility from that helps as an early pickup as well. It's so easy to go early on because of how much it costs. Graves picked up from IE once again. Maxwell had a great showing on that champion. Malphite also picked up, so they're basically drafting what Mal's had last game apart from the Graves.
Yeah, I feel like this Malphite is saying that we just assume Shen's going top. We haven't seen Shen support too much, if at all, not in Europe. Trying to think of any other regions off the top of my head. No games really stand out. We have seen Shen in the top lane, however. So they're assuming just take a neutral lane with engage potential coming out from Inspire. Where do MOUs go from here, though? They have engage on Inspire, and they go right down the disengage route. Is they say, okay, you've got Alistar, well, we'll pick one champion that is very good against Alistar, and that is Janna down in that support role.
Yeah, Janna, Lucian as well. They could maybe do a 1-3-1 and then have Dan as the other split pusher.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how I feel about Syndra being in the other lane. That actually is something MOUs could do. You raise a good point. That is why Rek'Sai was probably banned in the last game. Don't want that weird Dan Black Cleaver rush on Rek'Sai. Yeah, so they do have the setup for that. Then you've got to be careful, though, of the engage coming from Inspire.
Malphite.
Yeah,
Fate's Call.
Alistar, Malphite, Kalista, exactly. And now you add a Lux on top of that, so if one person gets caught out, they're getting ulted by everybody. Yeah. Everybody is just going to throw everything, because that is a burst combo, if ever I've seen one.
Graves when you look at it. As well.
Yeah, Graves, Lux, just layer them on top of each other.
Someone gets caught, they're dead. You might as well just take your hands away from the keyboard and be like, well, I'm going to be CC'd anyway, so Yeah, Mouse, I want to see what they do in this game and how they play this one out. Lucy and Janna in the bot lane.
I mean,
that
it's a lane we've commonly seen. Like,
Yeah.
I say commonly, previously seen a lot, where you put the shield on Lucian, you utilize the double tap passive and get so much extra damage coming from it. The problem with Janna lanes and why we saw them drop off is just that it became very clear of when to trade past the Janna. You just either burst through the shield or wait out the shield.
I don't engage.
And then do things. Yeah, also she had a nerf to her Q. So low ranks, the actual double tap Q where you just fire it instantly doesn't really go so far. So now this is a really cool different setup from Mouse.
A way different composition. And I just need to see how they play it. Last time it was a reactive composition.
Yeah.
Now they kind of started drafting this one from the get-go and were like, okay, this is what we're going to do. It was less reactive. So now that they had like the tempo and champion select, maybe they'll make more proactive plays in game as well. Because it was all about like trying to find the right engage and being too slow to it. Now they can actually make something happen, especially with Dan being on the champion that was banned out against him, Beansu as well, and Sevix picking a champion. Then you can only pick Syndra if you feel very comfortable in this champion. That is
very true, and we'll see how comfortable he is. But as we load up into the game, make sure you get on Twitter, use those hashtags MOU win, hashtag IE win if you think Inspire can take this 2-0. It's a best of 2, so there are still points even if you split it 1-1.
Yep, you get 1 point. Would prefer to get those 3 for Inspire, but getting into the second game, so much engage from Inspire.
And then I wonder whether they'll play proactively or reactively. We saw Mouse on the back foot, not really being able to do too much, but attempting engages time and time again. For this setup, after seeing the last game, I would expect Inspire to be looking for flank opportunities fairly regularly, looking to try and get into fights more frequently than Mouse were, because Inspire, if they catch one person with a light binding or something like that, that's it. They're gone. As long as there's the follow-up coming from Inspire. So, how can they slow the Mouse potential 1-3-1? It's not going to be as frequent as normal, because Dan is going to have to obviously do the whole jungle thing, where he has to be around objectives, can't be too far away.
Well, last time he just didn't care. He went bot lane when like
That's
Baron
true,
was being
actually.
contested.
And he got like an inhib tower.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if that really Dan really cares too much for that. I was also saying last time we saw this, like last year, that like, maybe they should just run Kalista and then you kind of have like a second way to burst about. Nope, didn't do that last year either. Didn't do it in this game. So yeah, Dan will do his own thing, but often it may work out. Beansu on Shen. Beansu's always kind of been like a solo, like, it sounds dumb, but he's been a solo laner who likes to be by himself, because he used to be like an Irelia player back in the day, but Irelia not really played anymore. So Shen, next best thing, he's a tank and he works right now, so Beansu will take it. Instant Sartorius, there's like very small windows for Shen to get the advantages in that lane, but it's not really going to go anywhere. Like, you have burst potential when your opponent's at 10%, so like it's not really gonna.
If I Q auto him and then get the damage off taunt, I can kill him. Yes,
Shen mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody forgets that damage comes from the taunt. Wendelboat doesn't care for Taric attacking Woolite, but you can see Woolite took a fair amount of damage just from the shield trading. The shield plus the autos that came from Taric. Now, this is one thing that they probably have to slow down a little bit. Once a couple of levels get on the Kalista, get on the Alistar, they have the sustain to go through this. You cannot afford to just throw that shield out every time it's available. The damage you get from that will just be sustained up, and then it becomes very easy to just engage either on the target after the shield is gone or engage on the Janna.
So far, though, in the early levels, it's harder to do that because they don't have the burst to punish them, especially in that last trade, which was really frustrating for Wendelboat because he headbutted Taric, and the shield remains on like a couple HP, so it stayed up, meaning the damage stayed up, and as he knocked him away, Taric kept on shooting him. Mid lane, though, knock up, Kozq will have to flash away. But with the knock-up already landing, they can get a little bit of damage onto him as he retreats to tower. Last time we saw Lux very recently was Ica, and he did not respect the gank and then died. Yeah, he did not flash in that game. This time for Kozq, flashing as soon as the Scatter the Weak came through. So for Kozq, that's a really rough timing as actually bottom lane isn't engaged. Oh, what a knock-up from Rux will stop Wendelboat from getting the knock into the tower. With Maxwell coming down as well, he'll flash into the lane, trying to get that extra charge of end of the line, but Taric looks like he's going to go down. Blasted in the face with Maxwell's auto attack, and the first blood over to Inspire.
First blood to Inspire. I'm just going to double check it. Was it a Q flash that came out from Wendelboe or flash into combo?
Pulverized flash, I believe.
Checking it. Yeah, Q flash in from Wendelboe. So very difficult to actually read that. And this is one of those problems is like with a Janna, if you can't get the Hurricane to just knock people up and stop them from coming in, so difficult to actually take these trades. So at this point in the game, it was a nice gank out from Maxlaw. Good timing as Maxlaw looks for the middle lane. This time doesn't land the Q. Oh, so close.
Yeah.
So close.
As a Graves player, you always feel like it's about to connect to a wall. It's just like, I can shoot now.
I've got this. Nope. Q has to respect the gank again, though. Like, the top side is warded. Dan has been spotted.
Flash, slow down, gets the knock-up, gets the stun as well, and the auto-attacks in from Dan with the Queen's Wrath. Sevex, CC'd under the tower, and Q outplays them in the 1-on-2 and picks up the kill.
Really nice outplay, and this is one of the strengths of Lux. Like, honestly, is as long as you're being very aware of the gank timing. As long as you're aware, her kit is so good for playing defensively in that situation. Land the binding, shield yourself, follow up with damage, make sure you get the proc from the autos as well and mix them in. As long as you're not in like fatal threat of dying, Lux is very strong playing defensively, and I think we're taking another look at it again. So Q actually gets stunned here, and does Sebex close the gap with a flash after this? Because that would explain, like, why does Sebex keep going forward? That's what I'm looking for. He gets the Ignite, he looks for the auto. He wasn't expecting the barrier to come out. The returning shield is what does it as well. He wasn't respecting the barrier that came from Q, and it was just enough to hold through the Ignite.
I know Stress feels very passionately about Lux mid as one of the only champions he's Mastery 5 on.
Yeah, I know. It's really sad, actually. But it's one of these situations where, like, Lux at the top level play doesn't get played too often because it is difficult to read every gank that comes in. It is difficult to, you know, make an outplay like that because especially in these early levels before her ult, your actual damage relies on you getting rotations off. That time you've got a tower helping you.
Yes.
So Sevex gets baited in, gets double summoners, and ultimately ends up dying.
I mean, you pretty much know you're going to get ganked at that point as Lux. I have no flash. Dan just ganked me. He's off the map. He's probably going to come in. So, like, he has a little bit of forewarning on that one, but just the fact he made the outplay was fantastic in the mid lane. And Q has really shown up in this series. I hope he continues to do so as the weeks go on, because Q could be a major carry. And this is the type of stuff we were seeing from him when the first time we saw Q, and we were really hyping him up. Then he really just got outshone by the likes of Senkux as the split went on.
Yeah, he did. And honestly, it was a little sad to see when you saw Q, who was just completely bodying people in spring, just kind of have a very quiet split. I'm glad to see he seems to be back on top form, at least in this series against Mouse. Must admit, it's been a long time since I've seen Sebex. Like we were talking about it, 2013 was the last thing of note in my mind that Sebex did. So if like people are saying, he is on the up. Nice attempt at the minion taxi. If he is on the up, it'll be good to watch him throughout the split, but in this first series, I've not been super impressed by Sebex.
No, not yet. That has been up against Q. There's many other mid laners you can go up against that may be impressed. Specifically on Syndra as well, because Syndra is a pick you pick to be flashy and you show that you're a strong laner and you can outplay your opponent. He's maintaining CS despite the kill. And now he's got level 6, he can't really make a play because it's Lux and she's literally standing behind her caster minion, so how are you ever going to get in range unless Dan comes in for a gank? Maxlaw clearing out his jungle, got that first kill of the game, and is on his way to Warrior Enchant, which is basically the build path for Graves nowadays. Dan looking for this bot lane gank perhaps, or not, or
Thinks
maybe,
twice.
or not.
Thinks a third time and it's like, yeah, I'm going bot.
I'm going.
It's like, I don't know. But I don't think he'll find the angle there, so I don't think he's going. He's moved all the way back. But waiting for the Krugs. Yeah. You know, one thing about Q on this Lux is I wonder how quickly he's going towards CDR, because when we saw Ica play it, he actually opted for like the majority of just AP with like swiftness boots and flat damage rather than CDR.
He went Abyssal as well, which confused
me.
Yes, you're never going to get in range for that to be effective.
I looked at that and I was like, what is that?
That's like, I'm going to get engaged on and then I'm going to fight you.
It's like, well, the point blank binding auto E combo is just going to do so much damage. Obviously, as well, Lux, the synergy with Thunderlords is very good, but it's top lane that we got the aggression.
He's not going to get the return damage of end of the line because Beansu will flash away, and he should be home and dry, but still get the flash at the expense of Santoris's ultimate. Sartorius.
You want to say Santor?
I want to say
every
Santor.
single
Well,
time.
he's playing
He's
today.
coming later.
So
He's coming later. Don't worry.
Yeah, man. If they were on the same team, I would not be able to cast the game. Like,
But at least then you could call the 2v2 Santorius.
oh,
And then
yeah.
you'd be fine.
I
And
would. That's why I just called him then.
At some point, they're going to be against each other, and I relish that day.
He's gonna call the champion names,
Pulse
man,
is
like-
just like, I'm out. I'm done here, guys. Like, you know, player names are too hard, man. I can't do this anymore. Anyway,
Tilted.
Dragon was taken by Mouse, and this is a complete flip on what happened in the last game. Last game, it was Inspire that were kind of looking for the earlier dragons. They got 3 in the game. This time, Mouse have managed to take it, but Inspire have been getting the kills across the map and getting the lane advantages as well. You can see a small lead down in that AD carry position for Woolite right now, and he's a player we haven't really talked too much about. This sounds really over-dramatic, but fell from grace when he kind of was replaced off Roccat from the LCS. Came into Challenger, had a good split, didn't get picked back up again. So he's here remaining in Challenger for another split, even though he's kind of shown that he's pretty much better than the AD carries we've got here in Challenger. Yeah. So I'm interested now to see how that progression goes.
Like, he kind of made an unfortunate name for himself in the LCS. Like, pulling a Woolite was a thing. But then he came into Challenge and started destroying every other AD carry.
It was like Challenger version of playing a Woolite was like you would destroy people for like 30 minutes.
Yep.
Like, and there would be no hope. Unfortunately, LCS Woolite was kind of almost the same, and then after 30 minutes, a little bit of mispositioning would like cost the team the game, which is unfortunate that it sticks with him. But he honestly, he has shrugged a lot of that off.
Yeah, even when he
through
first joined Challenger, we didn't see it that much.
Yeah, no. Trying to think of any major ones. I can't think of.
He was too busy killing his enemies.
Yeah, he was too busy being unbelievably fed.
Yeah.
But he has got stiffer competition now in Challenger Series. He's got the likes of Holy Phoenix. We'll be seeing later, talking a lot about later. So there's some really cool AD carry matchups here.
Yeah, and players. Lots of big pedigrees this time around. That is a lot of damage coming in from Beansu, and Sartorius will have to head back to his tower. There's not really much he can do.
I was going to say, there's a lot of damage coming from Beansu, but most of it's coming from the tower.
Yes.
That was Maxlaw stepping way too far forward, not really thinking that one through. It's like, oh, Shen has a taunt. Okay, I'll walk into his turret.
I just have to believe it's dealing damage. But yeah, most of that was from the tower.
To be honest, if we see Beansu go for that like annoyingly stupid Dead Man's Plate Shen build, where you just actually have a ridiculous amount of damage, you just run after people chunking them.
So Sunfire Cape into Titanic Hydra is just
so
much damage.
Go away, I don't want to think about that.
No, but against this team where you have enough magic damage, he can't really afford to do so. But I would love it if he did. Woolite coming in for the engage, the knockup with Fate's Call, the headbutt, the pulverize off to the side of the wall. Sartorius comes into this fight, looking for the chase down, has his ultimate if he needs to lock anyone down. Beansu also came into the fight with the Stand United, but now he's starting to regret that decision as he goes down. Maxwell comes in for the assist as well. Cosq stops Dan en route as he tries to head into the bottom lane, and now this tower should be going down. Oh, the engage once again, and another follow-up from Alistair. Ultimate coming in from the mid lane as well, trying to pick up that kill, but another kill over to Inspire and the bottom turret, making those proactive plays and getting ahead in this game.
Inspire pulled the first punch bottom lane with the teleport, came before the Stand United, and meant that Inspire were able to get the good engage. Woolite looked like he was taking so much damage and not trading it back, but it's the difference between like Janna shield going onto Taric plus having a BF sword means that his damage looks insane, but when the rest of Inspire turn up and just go like 3 versus 2, easy kills for them, and that's Inspire extending their lead to 4-1. Sebex was kind of trapped in the middle lane, couldn't roam all the way down because he couldn't quite pass Cosq, who was still hanging around the river. Does mean he gets damage on the tower though, and this is a good little start from Mouse when it comes to this mid lane tower. Last game they had a lot of trouble in mid with getting pushed in a lot, so if they can get this tower early, maybe they can slow down Inspire.
Maybe. Also, the first kill went over to Dan, so his split pushing days may come into this game at some point.
Oh, nice double
Mid lane goes
bind.
down, and maybe Dan might be dying here. That would definitely stop him from split pushing. He'll drop low, but back away, and that was just a nice rotation to mid lane.
MaxLaw is in that situation that's so frustrating. He's like, my ult's up in 10. Why can't I ult this? That's like a kill if he lands that. Anyway, bottom lane fight. You can see here's the upfront damage coming from Tarek into the Janna Shield and Stand United, but the Bouncy Castle coming from the Kalista Alistair lane setup. Binsu got the taunt, but I'm not sure it was exactly what he wanted as MaxLaw turns the corner. Before MaxLaw shows up, Binsu's like, yeah, we got this, guys. Everybody else is backing away already. And here comes the single target setup, if you can get it. Lands it on 2, but they only really need the follow-up onto one of them. And down they go. Almost kill participation there for CosQ.
Yeah.
Almost!
Not quite. That wouldn't have just been kill participation, that would have been the kill as well, which would make the bot lane salty. But that goes over to Woolite. And Wendelbo is looking for this dive onto Dan, has been slowed down.
He didn't get the Q.
No, didn't get the Q. And Dan got the smite, which stole the movement speed, and should be able to go to the mid lane as well. So the tower does not go down to Inspire, but a lot of the damage went away. In terms of, I was just looking down the CS, it's a pretty even game in terms of CS, despite how many kills have gone over to Inspire. Miles have been keeping up, and as a result, you can take a look at the gold difference. It's only 1,000 gold.
So a lot of that is just from the fact that we've got very pocket, like, segmented fights, that everybody kind of drops low, there's fights in the lane, and then people back away. And because they have to recall, it means that you don't compound any kind of CS advantage, and they return to lane. So that a lot is where that's coming from right now. And it means that Inspire are getting the extra gold from the kills, sure, but it just is bouncing back and forth on this. And you can see Inspire have a little bit of a lead in the top lane, but trailing by about the same amount in mid lane. So the actual gold between laners is pretty even. There is a jungle disparity, though, and that jungle disparity is going through the roof as this game opens up, because we're going to see Dan get more damage.
I have to wonder how it does, though, because in the current meta, we're seeing so many Rek'Sais, actually, as he gets knocked up, makes him very squishy. MaxLaw against the tower doesn't quite get the damage off with at the end of the line. Wendelbo also had to pop his ultimate. It doesn't mean Dan deals more damage, but we see most Rek'Sais run Cinderhulk in this current meta.
We do, just from the ability to be tanky, the ability to kind of stand in front of the AD carry damage for a long time, because once you get the extra health, the extra armor, very difficult with that Last Whisper to chunk through it. Dan wants CosQ at this point.
Yeah, and he's dealing a bunch of damage. The flash forwards from his team will finish him off. Scatter the weak over the wall, takes out CosQ, so that's a nice pick. But the dragon did go over to Inspire.
CosQ caught without his flash once again. That was one of the important things. Now Woolite's caught.
Yeah, trying to get away from this. Fate's Call comes in. Wendelbo be thrown into the fight. Stand United comes up. Can he get the pop with the Rend? Not quite enough damage. In with the Monsoon again. Binsu looking for the tower dive onto Wendelbo, but chooses to back off as the CC may be up soon. But another kill. Well, actually, they didn't kill Woolite there, but they are able to chunk him out enough that they can go into the mid lane and take that one away. Mouse firing back in this game.
Yeah, they are. Mouse are doing a good job of pushing down the turrets when they're available here in this mid lane. And you know, that's the inner tower going down fairly early on. Here is going to make it a lot more difficult now for Inspire to pick and choose their fights. They have to somehow ward up the flanks better in this situation. Tarek's going bottom lane to clear that out. This is going to leave mid tower fairly vulnerable right now, because there isn't a whole bunch of wave clear, but somebody has to deal with this, otherwise that tower goes down 100%. The minions have re-aggroed, so that shouldn't go down for now. It's going to be a Rift Herald.
Yeah. I want to know who this goes to. Probably Woolite, I would have to assume.
Yeah, it's likely to be Woolite. Yeah. That's generally what we've seen from teams recently. Get that extra damage, get the little buff on minions as well with the main pack of people pushing. Yeah,
he was really good last game because he was on Corki. Well, they gave it to Corki, so the extra poke was absurd. Binsu, I don't really think you can defend this turret. The minion should be able to take it. Woolite is able to kite him away, but down over the wall, clears out the minion wave. What is that turret on? It must be literally single digits of HP. Mid lane's going to go down as well for Inspire.
54.
Alright, not single digits, double digits. Half an auto attack from Woolite.
Well, the minions right now are going to do enough. They could have left that and it would have been fine. Teleport coming in mid lane. CosQ has his flash and has caught Binsu as well.
Wendelbo has the flash over the wall. Binsu was trying to close in, but opts to go right. Maxlaw in from the bot side has been seen out by no ward.
Frost Queen's claim is coming up, and they've got the Malphite ultimate here as well. So if they just catch one person that's too far forward, that is going to be a pick for for Inspire pretty quickly. But Mouse are backing away all the way behind the turret.
There's the engage. Sebex and Rux getting bursted down. There's the first kill into the mid lane. Another knock-up combo in from Wendelboe, but they don't have the damage or the follow-up really to take the second kill. Piercing Light almost picking up Malphite, but he's able to stick behind the team. Culling comes out, a triple knockup from Dan. Beansu under the tower gets the taunt off. Wendelboe was the one taking tower aggro though, so there's no casualties just yet from Inspire. A jump forward, trying to pick up another kill there, doesn't quite come out. But a 2-0 over to Inspire, and the tower goes down.
Yeah, at this point, Inspire, knowing that with their engage tools available, they can stand in front of that turret, and if anybody even mispositions slightly, they just go straight past it, follow up with the damage, and land that wombo combo. But Inspire are in a good spot right now. Mouse was starting to fire back in this game. They just closed the gold lead and taken a very slight lead for themselves, and now that's gone away. Now it's been blown away by Inspire having a 4,000 gold lead, and it's all from this play. Sartorius in with the engage into the final spark is just too much damage for Mouse to survive through, and it was a good re-engage attempt by Dan that's coming up here, but as you mentioned during the fight, it's Wendelboe actually still has his ultimate available, and he's the one that takes the tower aggro here. And with the damage reduction, with the ability to just fight here after the knockup, Inspire are very confident at this point in time.
And Tarek had to play that team fight so carefully because he had to burn the flash at the very start of the fight after the Malphite ultimate came in. One, good reactions, but two, having to burn the flash meant that he couldn't quite make the extra plays to pick up the low health targets in the backline and then flash out. So Mouse weren't able to get anything off of that play. Wendelboe gets the knock up onto Dan. He's actually picked up the Starix gauge, so going for a still offensive but also defensive option instead of just going Black Cleaver. I'm sure that will be coming in the near future if the game goes that long. But Wendelboe heading into the bush, get away from my ward.
Dan, I think, still wants to go for it, regardless.
Oh, yes.
He's like, I want this ward, and I also want to split push. That's why I want to kill the ward.
He's probably got like an item sense of like Black Cleavers, like all
just all the way down. At this point for Dan, 1-0-1, he's having a decent game. You can kind of see why Rek'Sai was banned away from him, but he is going to start to struggle. I do wonder whether he can kill Coscu. I think he has the damage, but Coscu should be able to get away here. Just zoning that away. I'm like trying to add up in my head, like, does he have the amount of damage in between rotations to get that kill? And I don't think so. I think Coscu, if he somehow missed everything, dies there.
Yeah, finds everything backwards, doesn't barrier.
Yeah, it's like bind, auto, alt, and pretty much kill him, so.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no. Also, he chased Coscu into a small corridor.
Yeah, not a good thing.
You're not going to be able to dodge a binding there. So, 2-6 in this game. Mal's definitely behind of Inspire. But they have had some good plays. It's still difficult for them to make anything really happen when you have the aggressive team with all of the hard engage on Inspire. Outside of finding a pick with Syndra, which hasn't done all that much this game, is fairly hard to do so, especially if Dan gets caught here. Clears away the ward, finds an Alistair, but
cows aren't very sneaky.
No, they make a lot of noise.
They tend to lumber around
and move sometimes. I wonder if Alistair has like a cowbell as well, like a dance gym. It's like, it's not very subtle.
That might actually be like the most annoying skin while walking. Anyway, Inspire were on the Baron. Now they start the engage.
There's the Fate's Call. Wendelboe blocking up the front line and the back line. The front line is just gone, and Sebex and Tarek have to run away. Culling comes across. Someone's going to have to block it for Wendelboe, but the shield out from Coscu blocks most of the damage. And that front line didn't even look like a front line.
Well, the only thing that remains right now for Mouse is the damage. If they step too close...
Oh, flash on the combo from Wendelboe was so perfect. And Sebex can't even see what to do with the smoke screen coming up. Tarek may be going huge, though. Finds one, finds a second onto Warlight. Will definitely stop the Baron, maybe at the cost of his own life. Coscu will not follow up onto him. Tarek making the big plays.
Oh, wait for the Q coming up from Coscu. He's waiting on his ult, so if Tarek sticks around, he could bind off the minion if Tarek misplays this. That's like a difficult thing to do. Bind should come out from Coscu if he wants to ult Dan. That was a really readable ult. I guess he probably was... not too confident on the timing of Dan arriving there. I would have liked to have seen Kozku just try and burst Dan. I think you could have sent him straight back to the fountain at that point.
Yeah. He wouldn't have died though because Sterak's, but we are going to take a look at that Baron engage again.
So here was the engage. As, man, this is, as you said, this is the front line getting final sparked out of this fight before it even began. And that was enough for Inspire just to be able to take this fight pretty handily. Tarek has a fair amount of damage for himself as well, even though he only had Essence Reaver Zeal at this point. This is still fairly early on in the game, so a fight like this against the squishies, he's able to output a fair amount of damage. I think a lot of that damage actually came from Sebex, from the Unleashed Power.
Unleashed Power Scatter the Weak. He also landed a really nice Scatter the Weak just before that Baron happened, so if that Scatter the Weak had landed, IE probably would have gotten the follow-up and killed both of them, so stop that from happening. Then his life for Aya and died, and then Tarek picked up a double kill. Maybe this is a little ambitious from Inspire. Yes, they have Kalista, but they're taking a lot of damage, and they go back into it once again, but Woolite was the last one to come out of that pit and got chunked by it. He's very low. If they go for a fight here, this may be one of the best chances that Mouse have to win one. Wendelbo trying to zone people away. That is a lot of Ren stacks. All that Woolite has been doing is hitting that.
He missed
it! Dad gets the steal! And now this could be the fight that Mouse have been looking for. Kozku gets locked down. Serex will take him out on the outside. But meanwhile, inside of the pit, it was the meat grinder. Inspire picks up that kill. Tarek jumps in, picks up the kill onto Woolite before he can get away. Scaps of the Weak with the lockdown. And Santris trying to get away from this fight. But the angry follow-up, Tarek wants him. Ardent Blaze connects. The flash, the Scatter of the Weak, another kill over the Sebex, a 3 for 2, and the Baron over to Mouse.
Miscommunication there by Maxlaw and Woolite. Normally, as you get that Baron down to about 1800 health, that's when you call for the Rend and the Smite together. Maxlaw didn't get the Smite off, and it meant the Baron remained on 200 health. That's when Dan comes in, smites the Baron away, and Mouse have turned this game completely around with that pickup. Watch this setup. I want to look at whether Maxlaw was actually stunned or locked down as this goes low. Maxlaw was free there at that situation. Look at his Smite cooldown. It's available. Normally you Smite first into Kalista Ren because you cannot deal enough damage to outsmite that Kalista. It's pretty much impossible at that point with that many Ren stacks on it. So really, really rough there for Inspire, but that was exactly what Mouse needed to get themselves back into the game. The rest of the fight was kind of child's play after that.
Everyone played so well and did their part in that fight as well. Like, Sebex landing constant stuns in these fights was great. Dan actually getting the steal was one of the biggest things in that. And yeah, that was just kind of a classic dig Baron. Like, Inspire went for that when the entire enemy team was up. Yes, they had Kalista, but she then got chunked by the Baron, and then they went back in again. So, I don't know. It was a little weird. It still means that Inspire's on the aggression, but with the Baron minis, it's slightly harder to wave clear. Yeah. And if they make one misstep here, then Mouse, they probably won't finish, but they'll take another inhib.
Man, you so rarely see that happen. So rarely do you see a Kalista team screw up a Baron like that. That is a little bit worrying, actually. But nevertheless, mistakes happen. Inspire will have to play with that as they're given right now. As you said, they were still on the aggressive, but down in the bottom lane, Binsu is able to hold pretty much anybody here. Can't push up to the turret, though. With the Sunfire Cape, can't afford to have it aggro. The turret is too much damage for Binsu, actually, to take. So if you would step forward. Sartorius did recall there. That also gets the cooldown now from Scatter the Weak. So as Mouse continue to push, they just have to be aware that a counter engage coming from Inspire could be... Oh, Wendelbo. This game has started to fall apart for Inspire right now on an individual play level.
Really is. I mean, I would be tilted after that Baron leaving me if I was on Inspire right now. And with this poke coming in from the side from Dan, I'm just here, but Dan maybe almost called out. He's going to tunnel away. Maxor gets him with end of the line, and this tower's still being sieged in. Baron has expired though. Maxor taking a bit of damage, a bit of poke, but the Lux Shield is exceptionally strong in these situations. That tower, I'm not even sure it's going to go down. Maybe with the double tap from Tarek, he's going to be shielded up here, and they do manage to take it away.
But look at the... I was looking at the base tower there.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's living.
It's living. Sorry, I was trying to look at it really closely. I was a little too far away. I was like,
you're getting
is it
uncomfortably
dying?
close to my screen.
Yeah, sorry. I was. It's like the other side of the screen for me. I'm like leaning into it. I had a weird moment. Okay, take it away, False.
Well, we've got the recalls coming in from Mouse, going back, picking up some items. Pretty standard build in from Tarek, gone for the rapid fire cannon for the extra crit on top of his Essence Reaver, basically the build that you go from there. Also picked up the Bloodthirster just to mitigate some of the bursts coming in from Inspire. However, if he is caught out by some of the bursts, then he's probably dead anyway. It just means in a prolonged trade he'll be in slightly better shape.
Yeah, well, there are a whole load of shields that go on him, though. So even if he does get caught out, Stand United into Janna shield, I would say should be enough through the Bloodthirster shield as well. So
and Locket as well, so harder for Coscu to burst him.
Captain Boots on Janna, though. I like it.
Okay.
Aids in the disengage. You just turn around, run away, and everybody gets in movement speed to run away.
Yeah, and also the passive, because there was a change to it with Tailwind, where allies only get the movement speed if they move towards Janna. So you're going to be playing that way anyway, Sebex. But the Stand United comes in, and that's a lot of burst already. It has to go immediately into the Zoni as Tarek in the bot side immediately gets CC'd up before he gets into the fight. Wendelbo's taking all of this damage, and now he's able to block the culling. Tarek gets knocked up and knocked into the team. They should be able to pick up this kill. Inspire takes him down at the cost of Wendelbo. Now the chase comes in from Inspire, and Binsu is slowed down by the cheese wheel coming out. Max looking for the kill onto Rux, but he's kind of out of range and will get knocked up. Binsu trying to take him out. Ignite comes out in from Rux as well. And the auto, the key strike, takes him out from Binsu. And Rux trying to get away from this fight now, but comes in for the ward. Binsu's also there and may have to die for him. Warlight gets a bit of chunk down. Sebex throws the Krug over the wall. Doesn't quite land it. That's a very messy fight towards the end, but a 3-for-2 over to Inspire in the end.
Really messy fight, but Inspire are hanging on to this despite that Baron buff misplay for Inspire. They still are seeming to hold their nerve. They haven't got the lead though, as Maus are at 55.1k, about 3k gold up. Inhibitor has respawned. That's one of the key things. Now Maus have to somehow push down turrets against this hard engage that comes from Inspire. So Inspire will continuously be looking to pick people off exactly like this. Good double knock-up into the Lux Salt as they manage to, again, land another binding onto one of the key damage dealers. And it makes the fight a little bit easier for Inspire, but you can see from Maus' point of view, still a lot of health left on Tarek. All of the shields kept him alive for long enough. But he was ultimately burst back into the rest of the team. So if the team fights still go like this for Inspire at the beginning of this, they should be able to close this game, well, close this game to an even point, but we are still a way away from that.
Rip. I did catch at the start of the fight, Binsu landed a really nice flash taunt onto Graves, and we just had the end of this replay as well, where Binsu tries to get Warlight, maybe with enough damage from Sebex, but ultimately it wasn't, and Warlight just kind of kills him.
Just goes, okay, yeah. You want to come at me?
Yeah. He thought he had Titanic Hydra, but
no pulse. No Titanic Hydra Shen builds.
Last item, it's good. Come on, make it happen, Binsu. In competitive play, you very rarely see it because you just want more tanky stats and the rest of your team comes from it. Because it's more of a, like, that's more of a solo queue build where you have to go 1v9. But
oh, I hate seeing this.
In competitive,
I like, junglers playing Graves should not clear wards in the Baron pit. I'm just going to say it.
Or position differently so the pellets don't fly at Baron.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because like we actually saw that with Gilius in the LCS, that he autoed Baron and lost like all of his health. Yeah. And he was like, oh, why is Baron out? Oh, I attacked it. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's annoying enough clearing wards as Graves, let alone when one of your auto attacks like aggroes something like Baron.
Because you're not tanky, you're good at not getting bursted because of the build you go, because you usually go like Sterix more, so it stops you from bursted, but you still get killed very quickly by like high chunks of damage at a time.
Yeah. Like Baron.
Like Baron, funny enough, does that. Dan, try and get some vision before this pressure comes out, but Inspire, well, they have learned from the last play, which was do not start it immediately when the entire enemy team is around you.
Problem is, enemy team have 4 blue trinkets. So good luck baiting Baron on that one.
They only have 1 alive, but you only need 1.
Yeah, you only ever need 1 at a time to make sure that they're not doing Baron.
Ruh-roh.
However, Dan has seen through this bait, or this bluff, should I say. Dan's like, well, we see through the mid, but they have a Callista and a Malphite.
This is
going to be one
risky.
huge rend when this goes up.
It is, but last time Dan still got it, so we're going to have this fight come. He goes in and doesn't get it this time. Finally, the rend comes out, and this time, Inspired do manage to pick it up. Monsoon comes out, but this looks like it's actually not going that well for Inspire. Maxlaw is still kiting out of the Dragon Pit, of the Baron Pit. Dan goes down, and now this fight may be turning around. Kozq has now arrived into the fight. Sartorius in his 1v4, looking for the double kill, gets it, but now he doesn't really have anything else, and he's run out of gasoline in the tank. 3 for 2 over to Mouse though, but with the Baron going over to Inspire, they still have it on 2 members.
Yeah, they hold it on 2 members, which means that their push should be fairly strong right now, and all they've got to do is wait for their engage tools to come back up again. In fact, Fate's Call didn't look to be used. I didn't quite catch whether that was just not available at the beginning of this, or if Woolite didn't have the option, if Alistair died too far out before that Fate's Call was available. Smite and Rend War finally went through this time for Mouse. Yeah, Woolite died completely out of range. That Wendelbo wasn't around, couldn't use his ultimates, that's why it's up. Maxwell got himself over the back of the pit and finally just kind of one-shots the last little bit of remaining health of Dan. But from here, Inspire are in a decent situation. They can likely look to close the game here, even though Sartorius fell and lost another one of the Baron buff. They do have it on Maxlaw, and I believe it's on Kozq as well. And that's a good situation for them to be in, because it means that they have reliable and fairly safe champions that Baron buff is on for the next couple of minutes.
The funny thing about this game is Miles has actually taken the gold lead in this game after being so far down at the start of it. But still, with Baron, this is a massive power play that can be made over the next couple of minutes. That was the flash being used defensively by Kozq, but in this play, they detonate Taric, and Beansu is on his way out. The engage also onto Rux and Sebex. He also has to flash out of the fight. Dan goes in, but he's not all that tanky. Woolite gets hit up, but he can't even break the shield that's on top of him from Kozq. And the kill onto Taric, this is a 5 versus 4. Sartorius is just kind of in their base right now. He's just doing that.
He's just standing there. I mean, I don't know how they're going to get him out of there.
I mean, he doesn't have a way to get out because he doesn't have his ultimate.
Walk out.
But the minions arrive, so his team is there, and he is tanky enough. Dan gets knocked up, gets taken down. Woolite picks up the kill, 2-0. And this looks like it could be the 2-0 from Inspire. Mouse, they had a good mid-game where they started making some plays, but ultimately it was not enough. Wendelbo pops his ultimate, and it's all about just trying to pad those stats now as they take down the first Nexus turret, the second one as well. Beansu trying to get a taunt down onto the carries, gets it onto Maxlaw, but he doesn't really have any damage behind him, doesn't have the Titanic Hydra. That's the second win over to Inspire. What a showing.
It was, well, it was good. It was good. Well, first game and most of the second game. My mind still goes back to that Rend.
Yeah, triggered.
Still on the Rend, but, you know, it was a solid game. When you look at their engages, they were always catching the right person at the right time, utilizing the light binding very well. Another solid game from them. I'm looking forward to seeing more from them now as this goes along. I think they got potential. Still a little bit rough on some of the communication when it's where are we moving on the map? You know, what objectives are we looking at? So, I mean, there's still room to grow there for sure.
Yeah, rough around the edges. Mouse do have a lot of issues, but in terms of the individual players, I was actually more impressed by Cedric. He started looking really good, by the way, at the end of the last split. And we praised him, but ultimately he didn't go anywhere. This time, started making some good plays along with Sebex. Didn't have a good game one. Didn't really have a good start to the game this time around. But then as the game went on, he started landing some really good Scatter the Weeks and some really good followers. But it wasn't enough to win the game. There was just small glimmers of really good play from the players.
There was, yeah, and I was pretty impressed by some of his team fights, and then others he'd just get bound and then like die. Yeah, which is you know, against that kind of team fight when you got Lux, when you got when you got like Lux, when you've got Alistair, Malphite, like good luck staying alive in that kind of situation.
I mean, it's kind of his fault. He did pick the Syndra very early on into the draft.
It was blind.
Yes, it was, and then an entire hard engaged composition got picked into him. So. Yeah, unfortunate. We do have a replay, though, that we do want to play. Mouse, it was the Baron Steal. Baron Steal?
Steal
quotation marks.
I mean, credit to Dan on taking it. I mean, Ah, that's sad.
39 health.
That's
Unlucky.
sad to see. It's like when it jumps from like 1802 to like 230 something, and then to like 39. I was like, oh no. You gave him 2 opportunities at this point.
Yeah, and he
Oh.
took it, and he got it.
He got it. It looked like Mouse could have come back.
They took an inhib.
Yeah,
off
they
of
took
that,
an inhib.
So, yeah, strong Baron power play, but yeah, ultimately they would like Inspire was still so strong, and they still found really good engages in that game. Regardless, had the second Baron gone over to Mouse, then they probably would have been because they had the gold advantage even at that point as well.
I had like visions of with all of those Callista stacks, just like not getting it somehow. They're like, oh, I can render 3K. Don't render 3K.
No. Render 4K, and it's like, ah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what else to talk about from Inspire? Wendelbo looked pretty good, especially his Trundle game in the first
Pillars are great.
game. Yeah, it looked really, really solid. So, honestly, all the way down the line, I was pretty impressed with Inspire. Mouse, I still think, have areas to improve on. I think Sebex looked a little uncertain in the mid lane role today, but certainly not a big worry for these teams.
Yeah. Definitely for CosQ as well, one of the standouts in this series for me, really started showing up. The outplay as well on Lux was fantastic. The first game as well was still very cool with Corki landing those rockets. Maybe it's just like the Wicked effect, where it's just like leave the team and then start performing well. The opposite of the Kasing effect. But anyway, we're going to head to a quick break. But when we get back, Copenhagen Wolves and SK Gaming will be going head-to-head, so stay tuned.